the young, and the restless spoilers. Kyle was seething with anger as the judge announced that the trial would continue, meaning that Kyle and Harrison could not leave Genoa. The long-anticipated trip to Paris was utterly ruined, and the person behind this disruption was none other than Summer. The animosity Kyle felt towards his ex-wife had been escalating steadily. He couldn't fathom why she was so stubborn, persistently making his life difficult. Why was she so determined to paint him as the villain? The bitterness between them was palpable, and Kyle found himself questioning her motives more and more. Kyle had planned to take Harrison to a new environment, hoping the change would be beneficial for him. The idea was that Harrison would live and study in a new place, away from the complications of Genoa, much like many children who study far from home. Kyle believed this move would provide Harrison with better opportunities and a fresh start. However, Summer had different plans. She wanted to keep Harrison with her and raise him until he reached adulthood. Everyone knew this was an unrealistic expectation. Harrison wasn't her biological child, and once she remarried and had children of her own, it was likely she would neglect Harrison. This was a fact that gnawed at Kyle, fueling his rage. Kyle's anger boiled over, leading him to threaten Summer repeatedly. This aggression only made things worse for her, exacerbating an already volatile situation. Every confrontation left them both more entrenched in their positions, making a resolution seem increasingly out of reach. Despite his fury, Kyle knew he needed to keep a level head. Winning the upcoming trial was the ultimate goal. He couldn't afford to lose control now. The stakes were too high, and Harrison's future depended on it. The legal battle intensifies. The courtroom was tense as Kyle and Summer faced off, each presenting their arguments. Kyle's lawyer emphasized the importance of stability and a positive environment for Harrison, arguing that moving to a new place would provide him with the opportunities he deserved. They painted a picture of a bright future for Harrison, free from the turmoil that currently surrounded him. On the other hand, Summer's lawyer countered with arguments about continuity and the bonds that Harrison had formed in Genoa. They stressed the importance of maintaining those connections and keeping Harrison in a familiar environment. The court had to weigh these competing interests carefully, with both sides presenting compelling arguments. The personal struggles. Outside the courtroom, Kyle was battling his demons. His anger was a constant presence, threatening to overwhelm him at every turn. He found solace in his moments with Harrison, focusing on the boy's well-being and trying to shield him from the worst of the conflict. Kyle's friends and family urged him to stay calm and composed, reminding him that his actions now would shape Harrison's future. Summer, too, was struggling. She was torn between her desire to keep Harrison close and the realization that she might not be able to provide him with the stability he needed. Her own life was in flux, and she knew that once she had her own children, her priorities might shift. But the thought of losing Harrison was too painful to bear, driving her to fight harder. Amidst the tension and conflict, there were moments of clarity. Kyle and Summer had once loved each other deeply, and while that love had turned to resentment, there were still glimpses of their past connection. During one particularly heated argument, they both realized how much their feud was hurting Harrison. This moment of mutual understanding gave them a brief respite from their anger, allowing them to see the bigger picture. As the trial progressed, the judge grew increasingly frustrated with the lack of cooperation between Kyle and Summer. The judge emphasized the need for compromise, urging both parties to put aside their differences for Harrison's sake. This was a wake-up call for Kyle. He realized that his anger was clouding his judgment and that he needed to approach the situation with a clear mind. Kyle decided to seek mediation, hoping that a neutral party could help them reach a resolution. Summer reluctantly agreed, recognizing that the constant fighting was taking a toll on Harrison. The mediator helped them communicate more effectively, focusing on Harrison's needs rather than their own grievances. After several sessions, Kyle and Summer finally reached an agreement. They decided that Harrison would stay in Genoa for the time being, with both parents sharing custody. Kyle would have the opportunity to take Harrison on extended trips during school breaks, allowing him to experience different environments without the disruption of a permanent move. Summer agreed to support this arrangement, acknowledging that it was in Harrison's best interest.